Can you imagine if I had a magic wand that would transform your boring household chores into magical moments of self care? What would be possible? Oh my gosh, you guys. It is possible. And I have the most incredible guest today, Molly Donlan, who has written the book Mundane Magic, which is a lazy witch's guide to hacking your brain, building a daily practice, and getting stuff done. And this book is incredible. And if you're a skeptic, please listen to this episode because Molly was actually a hardcore skeptic before she got into this Reiki energy world. And she's going to share about that in this episode. But as somebody who really struggles to keep up with the work around my house, I am a very busy CEO and mom of three and wife and daughter, and I have all the obligations, and I don't actually enjoy cleaning or tidying or any of that. Molly has actually really transformed these little micro tasks around the house like into magical, enjoyable moments. And she calls them spells. And this is so fun. You guys are going to love this so much. So her book is called Mundane Magic. Molly's a really fun and creative and magical human being. And I know that my audience, you guys are going to love this so much. If you were at Elevate and Inspire, you already got a copy of the book. If you are local to my area and you come to my meetups, I have just a few left over. So let me know if you would like one. Otherwise, I'll be hoarding them and giving them away as gifts. But let's go ahead and bring on Molly. This is a really fun conversation that I think could not only unlock, your potential to get things done around your house, but some creativity as well. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast, where your growth is our favorite topic. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson, and here on the podcast, we share behind the scenes of building a business using our community-based marketing and real-life lessons that make your business easy and profitable. We help you combine your dharma, your unique skills, and your offers to build the business of your dreams on your terms. I don't give average business advice. I'm here to help you unlock the superpowers that are already within you. So make sure to follow along, and I promise you will start becoming even more magnetic, and you will see your own community grow around your brand. All right. Welcome, Molly. I'm so excited to have you here. You are one of our sponsors at Elevate and Inspire. We gave everyone a copy of your book, and we're going to dive into that. But first, I have to know, how the heck did you become what you are now? How did you get here? That's the journey.
Very accidentally. I started teaching mindfulness and yoga 10 years ago this year. This is my 10th year teaching. I really I had a career working with survivors of sexual violence. I did that work since I was 17 for nearly a decade and burnt out from it. And that manifested as chronic pain and anxiety and a whole host of other issues, as you can imagine, just really storing that trauma from other people in my own body. And so I turned to practices like yoga and mindfulness and Reiki as outlets out. So I originally went to a yoga teacher training. I was like, this is just my own practice. I won't teach. And then 3 months later, I had a regular class on the schedule. And so really up until March of 2020, that was my whole thing. In person, small group or one-on-one Reiki and yoga, usually a combination of the two. And when the world shut down, it was a lot of figuring out, what do I want to do next? And so, that led me to becoming a co-owner of a yoga studio for a little while. And I was like, that's not what I want to do. And then, becoming a TikTok sensation. And I was like, that's not what I want to do either. And then sort of kind of combining all of my loves into being a creator on the internet and launching my training that I was doing in person online, and really just fell in love with the ability to connect with, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people with a single video and a single message, and really creating a ripple effect that could impact people across the world in a very accessible way. And so when I was approached to do a book, I was like, hell yeah, what's more accessible than that? And yeah, I've just been kind of rolling with the punches. I have no idea how I got here. Accidentally
I
following
love
my
those
gut.
stories though. That's like the universe literally plopped you here. And did I see somewhere that you were kind of a skeptic before? Like you were not always in this like witchy woo magical space, right?
Yeah, not kind of a skeptic. I was a full blown skeptic. Like, if I stumbled across my own podcast like 10, 15 years ago, I would have been like, what a, what bullshit, you know? Um, yeah, it was very much like Reiki that brought me out of my skepticism. You know, as I mentioned, I had chronic pain and I saw all these different doctors, and none of them could tell me why at 23, 24 years old, I had chronic pain that they only saw in their 80-year-old patients in my hip.
Mm.
And so, you know, I had a yoga teacher when I was on retreat, and she had similar pain to me and a similar job to me. And she's like, Reiki was the only thing that helped. So I was like, well, I'm here. Might as well go upstairs and get a session. And I remember at one point, the practitioner had one hand on my knee and one hand on my ankle. And with my eyes closed, I saw this like wispy white light in the shape of my hip come out of my body, rotate, and snap back into place. And I always describe it as like, you know, when a cartoon character dies and their ghost comes up for one more gag and then goes back into their body and reanimates. That's what my hip did. And I was like, that was weird. And I just felt this like gut calling to learn more. And the next morning I woke up without pain. And a week later, I went to my chiropractor and he was like, what did you do? Your hips are in alignment for the first time ever. And so for me, you'd think that that experience would totally abolish my skepticism, and it only made it dig its heels in stronger. And so I went out searching for the answers, and I went to my first Reiki training, and bless her soul, the teacher was so woo, so up in the clouds. And I love that for her now. But at the time I was like an annoying kid on a car ride. I was like, but how does it work? But how does it work? But how does it work?
Yeah,
And
how?
she just couldn't answer that to me. So halfway through the training, I'd totally written it off until we got to the point where we were doing Reiki on ourselves. And I felt that same relief and felt that same experience. And so I ended up kind of finding a Reiki practitioner that was really into the science. And I dove down that rabbit hole with her and never came out of it.
Yeah, that's fast. My husband just the other day was like, I don't know why my back was so messed up like 5 years ago. He's like, I don't know what happened there. And I'm like, well, think about what you were going through in your life. Like that was kind of a hard time for you. And he's like, no,
Hmm.
no, no. Like, still like total skeptic. But like you're saying there's like actual like science and real reasons
Yeah.
that, you know, I believe to be true because I've seen this in my life, but getting someone that, doesn't buy into it to experience it is a whole nother story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Like anytime we have an emotional response, we have a physical response in the body, right? Think about when you have anxiety, your chest gets tight, your stomach gets tight, right? Like you clench your jaw, maybe your shoulders hunch up towards your ears, and all of your muscles are built the same way, right? Like, so if I did a bicep curl every day, the muscles and tissues and bones would grow to make that movement easier. It's the same thing with anxiety. That's a rep, another rep, another rep. So eventually what happens is the muscles, the bones, the tissues all grow in a way that holding that emotional pattern is easier. And then the emotion gets locked in the body. And so for a lot of us, we hold chronic tension from chronic stress that we haven't relieved. And even if the emotional cause goes away, the physical tissues are still wired in that way. And so a lot of us try to just relieve the stress or whatever mentally, thinking that, oh, it's right. That makes sense. But we don't tap into the body. And so it's this
Mm.
combination. And then there's like, the energetics of it, where it's like, we have these different centers in the body that tend to store different emotional patterns. And that aligns with the connective tissues in the body and how we store different patterns of movement and different patterns of tension as well. And so when we look at pain or stress or tension or whatever through a holistic lens of looking at healing the physical, emotional, and energetic body, that's when we can find true long term relief. It's like plucking a dandelion out by the root rather than just cutting off its head every week.
So one of the things when you were talking about this, one of my favorite examples is like before you take the stage, like people that experience like severe stage fright. And it's like nothing has actually happened yet. You haven't even walked out on stage. It might even be like the day before and you're so nervous, your stomach is in knots. Like that whole entire reaction in your body is happening because of thoughts in your mind. So someone that experiences like severe stress, anxiety, like you said, or trauma, it's like imagine what that does to your body over years. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes like scientific sense.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so you immersed yourself into this whole like Reiki and energy world. Tell us a little bit about like what that looked like to take that online because I mean, before I even like met you in person at the event, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, Molly's so amazing. She has like a waiting list to work with her." And one of my things that I was so passionate about connecting you to my audience is like I work with a lot of healers and Reiki practitioners and yoga instructors and you're kind of showing what's possible, like beyond just the brick and mortar and building a business online. So, what did that look like for you to take this Reiki practitioner and yoga instructor stuff online and figure out how to monetize it?
Oh my god, so many failures. It took
That's such
so
a good
many
answer.
failures.
Yes.
Yeah, I was really like I took over the yoga studio that I was teaching at with a friend of mine. We took over ownership in July of 2020, which was a great time to have a brick and mortar yoga studio, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so our first failure was that, choosing to do that. And then we decided we were going to do like a membership style where my whole ethos is 2 minutes of your practice a day is better than 60 minutes once a month. The science proves this, but also habit psychology. And I work with a lot of neurospicy, squiggly brained individuals that are way too busy. And so sometimes that's the only thing that's doable. And I was still teaching this, I was still teaching, you can find mindfulness waiting in line at the grocery store. You don't need hours and hours of practice. But the way that I was offering this information is my friend Chris and we would record like 2 3 hour long courses and send them out every week. And we're like,
Oh
why
my.
is no one watching these? Why doing zero marketing? We're just like, yeah, people will want this and got so burned out. I was like, I never want to teach yoga again. And after like 6 or 8 months of doing that, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. But, from every failure, there's a seed of success. And so what I learned was it reignited my love of being in front of the camera. I was always the kid in middle school and high school that I didn't do the PowerPoint presentation. I did a skit. I did a Twilight
I
spoof
can
for
see
my
that.
psychology class. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I had lost that part of myself, refound it in doing these courses, and so started posting on TikTok and finding my love of short form content. And that kind of became the evolution next of just be a content creator, like pump out as much content as possible. The failure in that was I became kind of like a textbook. I was very much chasing the views, the virality, the visibility, but I wasn't
Mm.
showing my personality. I think a part of me was afraid to be really authentic. And so after about a year of doing that, I had almost 1 million followers and was getting really good, strong views. But I was so tired. I was like, I'd have hundreds of DMs that were just like, what crystal is this? Can you tell me what crystal is this? Can you help me get my ex back? And I was like, that's not what I want. Like there was no real connection. And so a part of me kind of like burned down the strategy that I was doing and started again and just started making content that I really enjoyed and that I found helpful. And that's where Mundane Magic really came through. And now it's like, I don't even look at the views. I don't even look at the following. Like, all I care about are the comments. All I care about are the DMs of people being like, I got your book and I feel so seen. And I think, along the way, starting my podcast, Demystify Magic, with my friend Madison, that was really the turning point where I found my voice and didn't like started to go over that fear of really showing who I am online and releasing that need to chase the metrics. And that has led to all the success. Just really putting blinders on to all the strategy and everything that people say you should be doing and like post at this time, use this hook, blah, 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 like make this your marketing funnel and just saying, fuck that. I'm going to do what feels really good and aligned for me. And the people who are really good and aligned with what I do are going to be the people I want to work with. And so that has been the journey. That has been the goal. It's sometimes more fruitful than others. I do find moments where I'm like, okay, what is the strategy? What is the strategy? And then I have to kind of breathe and recenter and be like, okay, what is my strategy?
Yeah, but it's like preach though, because I can't say this enough of like what worked for someone else isn't going to work for everybody, that's listening. And as you were saying that, I thought about, have you read Big Magic by Elizabeth
Yeah.
Gilbert? It's like, it's one of those books. It's like, to me, it wasn't like wildly life changing, but there was this one line in there about how you should never write a book for anyone else. You write it for yourself and the right people will find it. And I feel that same way about marketing and about building a business and, being a content creator. And I'm sure you thought about that when you wrote your book too, because that it's just not going to work. Like we can't show up at like what I call like 8 out of 10 certainty because we're trying to follow a strategy or a map. When we show up at that 10 out of 10 certainty that it's what we want to do and what we feel good doing, it attracts the right people. Now you can learn, I like to say I learn marketing so that my brain can like recall it with my intuition, not so that I'm following a formula. It's like my
Yeah.
brain naturally has learned some skills that can then come out, through an intuitive process. So it is both, but it's not like, okay, Molly did step 1, step 2, step 3 and like all of a sudden I'm going to be rich, It's like that's not how it works.
Yeah, I think I like to say, whenever I get caught up in the strategy, I lose sight of my intuition. And so I have to reset. And then my mantra is always like, I trust that the strategy is like woven in my bloodstream at this point. Like I know how to market. My background is in business. I've done marketing of various different roles in my lifetime. And like, I know what people need to hear. And I also don't wanna be the person who's just telling you what you want to hear. And so
Yeah.
there's like this intuitive element that then has to come on top of the strategy so that people actually have a really good experience interacting with my marketing rather than
Yeah.
just being like, buy my thing because or else you'll be in pain forever. It's like, no, we can take a more aligned approach here. And honestly, like I get people who are grateful when I sell to them. Like,
Yeah.
they're literally like, "Thank you for offering this. This is exactly what I've been looking for." I very rarely or I get people who are like I got an email the other day, I just finished a launch, and they were like, "I'm really glad that you did this without shoving sales down my throat." And I was like, "Dude, I've sent like 16 emails, like, and they've all been selling, so we're doing something right."
They don't feel like they're being sold to, and that's the
Yeah.
difference is people can receive and feel that energetic signature when it's, like, genuine versus, like, when someone wakes up in the morning, like, "I gotta make some money today," or, "How do I get the people?" And it's like, that's not how it is.
Yeah. I also think like my background working with trauma survivors means that my sales are very trauma informed. Like I'm a consent based business owner. So I'm never going to push you for the sale. I'm never going to convince you for the sale. I'm never going to trick you into a sale. Like I want you to think of anytime I'm selling, I'm opening the door and you are freely walking through it or not. Like
Yes.
there is no pressure tactics, there's no scarcity tactics, there's no, ingenuineness to it. It's like truly this is what it is. This is who it's for. Here's all the answers to any question you might have. And I'm available to talk to when I'm in a sales mode. Like it's not, I don't shut out people just to make a sale. I don't close off my time or my DMs or whatever just to make a sale. It's like, I want you to come into my program with a regulated yes, because that's what we're doing in the program.
Yeah. Oh,
So
I
if you
love that.
come in dysregulated, then I've already done a disservice to you.
Yes, yes. I love that phrase, consent marketing. I've heard that before. It's, like, such a big one. It's the difference in, like, saying, "Check yes," or "Slide this to the right if you want me to send you information," versus just cold DMing everybody. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, and giving people options to opt out. Anytime I send a launch email, the bottom always has like, "Hey, not for you? Cool, just click here and I'll send you like the regular stuff you signed up for." It's never a big deal. Like I never look at those numbers and go like, "Oh my god, so and so.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many people click those numbers. I don't care. Like,
Right, right.
if it's not for you, you shouldn't have an inbox full of me trying to convince you. Like, that's even if you join the program after that, like, is it actually going to be a good fit for you? Or is it just you got beat over the head so much with it that you finally gave in? Like, I don't want people like that in my program. I want the people who see themselves in the stories that I weave and really feel like it would be a good fit for them because they're going to come in eager and ready and excited to work. And I mean, my program, we've had thousands of students come through. It's my Reiki One, the Science of Self Healing program. We have an 88% completion rate.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, which is like 80% higher than the industry average for an online course. And it's part of the
Yes.
reason is because of that. And the other part is like how much support we give people once they're in. But like, just imagine if I wanted everyone in that program, like the program would not be as successful. It would not be as supportive.
Yeah. I mean, that's insane. I have one of the ladies in my program, this is the industry that she's getting into is helping people basically with their completion rate. So like there's so many people out there that are great marketers, but their course actually kind of sucks. And
Yep.
like you said, nobody's finishing it, nobody's even logging in. And so she's helping them structure the courses in the client experience in a way that helps the completion, which essentially helps people make more money. But you're, like, already nailing that. That would be really fun, to, like, see all the things that you're doing right
Yeah.
that a lot of these course creators are getting wrong. I just like to nerd out over that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I've never taken a course on how to build a course.
Right.
Like the course has just been iterated dozens of times over the last 6.5 years. And everything we've added or removed or changed has been based on participant feedback. Like that's it. Every time we run a cohort, we get feedback and we make changes. Like it's a fluid process. And started with, 5 people enrolled. And now, I think our latest one had like 107. And the feedback has stayed consistently positive, and the completion rate has stayed consistently in like the 85 to 88%. And so, yeah, like I'd be so curious to know what I'm doing right. I know what I'm
Well,
doing
the
right
2
for
things
my
that I
people.
heard is that, A of all, you've been doing the same thing for 6 years. Most people give up, after the first year, and I'm really seeing that as I'm going into year 3 with what I do in my program. I'm like, "Oh, this is how you build a business, like, not by changing your mind every,
Yeah.
quarter, every 2 seconds." So, obviously, the fact that you're doing the same thing and you're just focusing on improving, but then also, like, you care. You care about people completing it and getting the transformation. So many people, the buck stops at the sale and they think courses are all about passive income, but you're really focused on the transformation piece of like, these people bought this. I want to make sure that they get what they came for.
Oh, yeah. That's the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
Is that they like, I am owning the title, and I challenge anyone who believes differently to challenge me, but I have the most supportive Reiki training on the planet. Like, between me and my team and our community, our graduates, just it is, a lot of Reiki trainings, they begin and end in a weekend. And I like to say your Reiki practice doesn't begin in a weekend and end in a weekend. So your support for your Reiki practice shouldn't either. And so we literally have a graduate community. It's free for life. Once you go through Reiki One, you are in it. We have
Yeah.
hundreds of people in there, and we will answer any question you have. We will support you. If you are like, I am struggling, I have fallen off my practice, like we are there. We have a resource library that we have collected over the years, answering every question that comes up. And we have events, we have ambassadors in there, like supporting you and cheering you on. And it's like, it's unheard of to create something like that and to offer it for free,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
forever, because it's costly to maintain, but it's the reason why the program is so successful, is because now you come in, you meet a bunch of people who are in the same boat as you become friends with them, and you have instant accountability. Like we do watch parties in there for every cohort of the training. And if you've been through the training, if you've been through level one, you can come to the watch party for level one every single time we do it. And
Yes.
we just have our teaching team will bring up the module, everyone will chat, and it's cool. You see like people who are just now going through it for the first time, people who've gone through it for like the 8th time, and they're like answering questions and supporting and like able to see the growth along the path. And so, yeah, I think like when you care more about the success of your students or your clients than you do the sale, then the sale just naturally happens.
Yeah. I always say the most important part of marketing actually happens after the sale, and
Yeah.
you're, like, nailing that, and I love that so much. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Mundane Magic. So, you said this like, the idea for this was born around 2020, and it sounded like you were answering a call. Tell us about it.
So it was born around 2023. So I literally remember like I was struggling to fall asleep one night, and it was because I had this idea for a video, and I just had the words mundane magic and the first line, which was, "Are you tired of mopping like a muggle?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And mopping was the thing that I always dreaded because I have 2 dogs, and I feel like if you mop with dogs, you have to, like, vacuum first and then get all the corners with the hair and then, shake the hair off of everything and then mop. And so I always dreaded it. And so I made this video where I basically turned mopping into a way of spreading intention throughout your space. And that was the most fun mopping I have ever had. And I think maybe like 10 people saw it. But one of those 10 people was like, "Can you make the dishes magical?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah. I hate doing the dishes too. How can I make that magical?" And turn the dishes into a mindfulness practice and posted that. And that one took off. And then people were like, "Laundry. What about cleaning the bathroom? What about washing your water bottle? What about washing your hair?" And I just started this series where I was just taking these everyday tasks that, like I said, my audience is mostly like neurospicy people. So, for some people, washing your hair might be like easy peasy. But for us, it's like, man, I will put that off until the very last minute. Like, and then I will dread it the entire time. And then I'll be like, that didn't even take that long. And so I started making this series where just everyday tasks became magic spells. And people started reaching out and saying, like, I actually enjoy folding laundry now. And telling me that, like, I've brushed my teeth every day for the last week and a half because of the video you posted. Like, people were feeling so seen in it, and they were actually like feeling accomplished. And so, and then I got people who were like, "You should put this in a book so that I don't have to scroll your page for laundry every week." And I'm like, that could be fun. And I've always wanted to write a book. Always, that's been on my bucket list since I was a teenager. Never knew about what, but just, I don't know. It's been a dream of mine. And so, a couple of years ago, I said to my podcast co-host, I was like, this is the year I'm going to write a book. And I'm manifesting that someone who can guide me through this process will just drop in and they will be the perfect fit. And literally a week later, my agent, Margaret Donko, who's fucking amazing, she's my biggest advocate. She slid into my DM. She's like, "Hey, I listen to your podcast. I think you have a book in you. Do you want to meet?" And I was like, "Mm-hmm." And we got
Did
on a
she hear
call.
that specific episode, or is it like,
I didn't say that on an episode.
"Oh, okay, okay."
Yeah.
You just told your person.
Yeah. I said it offline.
Wow.
But we got on a call, and first thing she said to me was like, "I love creating 2 types of books, witchy books and social justice books." And I was like, that's the Venn diagram of my interest. Let's make one in the middle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Mundane Magic was really born from there. And it's been incredible. Like the whole process, I wanted to feel really collaborative with my community. And so, just like the series had been. And so,
Mhm.
when I was writing my manuscript, I was like, I would post every week, okay, I'm in the living room chapter. What are we avoiding? What tasks do you have in here? And I would get, 100 something comments, and I would copy paste each one of those into my outline, and I'd make a spell for every single one. And so, people like, everyone is surprised at how comprehensive it is. They were like, you have making doctor's appointments and then attending doctor's appointments. Like, and I'm like, yeah, because those 2 things are different and those 2 things are hard. And people were like, you have everything from like clearing cobwebs to degreasing a grill to like returning library books. And I'm like, yeah, every single thing that people ask for is in this book. And then I really wanted it to be the only book that you need. And so I wanted there to be a super comprehensive appendix of magical intentions. And that alone, I was told, could be its own book. But that is the most valuable part of the book for me because, like, I use that every single day in my own practice. I'm like, I can't remember what apples are good for. Let me flip to it. And I wanted it so that there was no friction when you were using it. So you see a list of magical intentions by the ingredient, but then if you flip forward, you see the intentions listed and all the ingredients that match those. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's literally like one of my things is use what you have. And so if there's something in the book that uses pears and you don't have pears, okay, look up what that is used for and then flip to the intention and find an alternative that you have in your house. And so, yeah, that's really it was I made the book that I wish I had.
My gosh. Yeah, this is so good because 'cause I'm, like, such a crystal junkie, but I don't always, like, know know how to use them. They
Yeah.
just sit on my desk and look pretty, and now I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can, like, pull out my rose quartz for stress relief
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
drink my lavender tea all at the same time."
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this
Like,
is amazing.
yeah, people have told me like they bought it for the appendix. And I was like,
Yeah,
"Great. I want you to do that."
100%. Yeah, I mean, it could be a separate book, but I kinda like you said, this is like a one-stop shop, like
Yeah.
and maybe people buy it for the appendix, but then they go to the chapters and they probably get something that they need that they didn't
Oh,
know
yeah.
that they came for,
Yeah,
or
for
vice
sure.
versa.
Yeah, I saw someone on TikTok, they use the book as a divination tool.
Uh-huh.
So each morning, instead of like making a list of chores, they flip and whatever they open to, that's what they do that day. And I'm like, that's genius. I'm a borrow that.
That's probably how I would operate. My gosh, so good. Okay, I mean, I feel kind of silly because I hadn't really dug into the appendix. Like, I had looked through the book, and some people at my event, they're, like, holding it and looking at it, and they're like, "Wait, like, we get to keep this?" It's like,
Aw.
"Yes, yes." Like, my photography person, like, she didn't know that she was also gonna get a swag bag, and she's like, "Wait, like, really?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, this is so
Oh,
awesome."
I love that.
So what has been, like, one of your favorite parts of the book or, like, in your journey of maybe, like, seeing people use it? Like, tell us what that's been like.
I think my favorite part has been I've been on tour going to different places talking about the book. And I think my favorite thing is meeting people who they literally tell me, like, I picked up this book on a whim and cried through the whole first couple of chapters because they just felt so seen. Like, and that was, obviously I never want people to cry, but like that was my hope is I have read so many fucking self-help books that I have been like, clearly you don't get me because this is so hard. And I leave that book feeling worse about myself because
Mm,
I can't apply the things, even like ADHD specific self help books. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I can't do this. And it just makes me feel worse. And so I think my whole thing was I wanted to be really open and honest about my experience with ADHD, anxiety, and OCD and my journey as a skeptic because I wanted people to see that, like, you don't have to be perfect, right? Like, my house is not perfectly clean. Despite writing a book about cleaning, I still struggle to feed myself 3 meals a day. And that's okay, right? Like, it's okay to let myself off the hook and not try to aspire to be the ultra perfect aesthetic, whatever. And that's what people have felt really, I think, is what has made them feel really capable
mm,
of not just tackling what's in the book, but like continuing on in their life and feeling okay with, you know, not being somewhere that they're not in terms of success or in terms of organization or in terms of whatever. It's just, I am where I am right now. And can that be okay? And
yeah,
I think that has been the greatest gift is to just see so many people wake up to the fact that they're not broken. Actually, the systems we're in are what's making us feel that way, not anything inherently wrong with you. And that has been really cool to see. Like, it's cool to see it online and in the reviews, but I don't know, having someone tell me that in person has just made it land in a different way.
well, and what I'm hearing too is, like, that this is really about falling in love with the process and not the outcome, and, like, my business brain is like, "That's how you build a successful business." So that's how you run a successful successful, household is to really find joy in the process versus being obsessed with this like clean house outcome.
Yeah. And I also think too, like, the laundry's never gonna be 100% complete.
Yeah.
And so if we dread it constantly, then we're dreading our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if we can find peace in the moment when the laundry is not done, if we can find peace in the moments where we're actively doing the laundry, and if we can find peace in the impermanence of the moment that it is mostly done, then we find greater peace in all areas of our lives.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, so good. Well, I'm so excited. I know everyone at the event was so excited. And we shared a bunch of your resources too. You have so much good stuff on your website. Is there anything that you want to share with people? We have your upcoming events here. I don't think any of them are in Virginia, but you said you'd come to Virginia one day, right?
I hope so. I'll come anywhere.
Yeah, we have to get you
Yeah, I would love to share with your folks. I have a free download of 3 mundane magic meditations. They're infused
Mhm.
with Reiki. They're for clearing clutter, which is a 5-minute meditation,
Oh my god, I
washing
need
the
that so
dishes.
bad.
Yeah, washing the dishes and folding laundry. Those are the top 3 mundane magic requests I got.
Mhm.
And so they're a bundle of 3 meditations. You can try it for yourself, but I'm sure you'll link that in the description. And then if you want to check out the book, you can find it wherever books are sold. If you want to listen to me yap more, I now have 2 podcasts. I have
Yay!
Demystify Magic and the Science of Reiki podcast. So if you want to geek out about the science of how Reiki works, you could head to that one. Demystify Magic, we sort of cover a broad strokes of magical practices, the science behind them, but also like low effort, low spoons, low bar ways to approach a spiritual practice in general.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I'm definitely gonna do the declutter one because our house is such a good example of, like, we're not messy. We're not messy people, but we have the surfaces.
Yeah.
The surfaces are always quite busy.
Yeah. I like to say I'm messy, I'm not dirty.
Yes, yes,
So there is
exactly.
stuff everywhere, but it's like clean stuff.
Yeah,
It's like things. It's not like trash.
yeah, and this is such a creative process for you. You must have had so much fun putting all of these spells together. Have you always had that type of creativity?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I've always been someone that like, I'm really good on the spot. And so on my book tour, I have been challenging people to name a task or a chore that's not in the book, and I will come up with a spell on the fly,
Oh, I love that.
because I just love that. And so I think the collaborative process of like if I tried to just sit down and stare at living room chapter and being like, I don't even know what's in my living room. But getting that list from everyone else, I was like, oh, I could riff off of that and that and that and that and that. That has been really fun. So yeah, being able to find my process for unlocking creativity was like the first spell. I think that changed the book. But yeah, I've always been someone with like kind of an out of the box brain
Yeah.
who sort of like thrives and gets off on breaking the mold and just like going big or going home. So it was, yeah, the book is I didn't know you could write a book like that. I thought you had to write a boring book. And
No, it's amazing. I feel like you could do a whole process on unlocking your creativity if it's not already in there.
it's in the office chapter.
Okay. Okay, it's in the office chapter. Perfect. Okay. Because I mean, I so relate to that. Like I would much rather coach someone about their business on the fly
Yeah.
than record myself or write out like a four-step process. I can do it, but like I love like the improv
Yeah.
almost of just working with people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The office chapter for your listeners would be the place I would start,
Okay.
because the office chapter actually is the longest chapter in the book because originally it was 3 separate chapters that we combined. So it
Mm,
was office chores, digital chores, and financial chores. And now it's just office. So
okay.
there's a lot about creativity, about focus, about motivation, about making money, finances, like a lot of cool stuff that you could use as a business owner to really unlock your intuition, like we were talking about, like get beyond just step by step following a strategy and really harness your own intuition, and like a couple of fun spells to boost the abundance, boost the sales.
Yes, I love it. We did at my event, we sold money bowls. My mom is a potter, and I had someone there who knows how to do the money bowls. I think I saw you talk about them on your Instagram too. I had no idea this was gonna be such a hit. I mean, they sold out within minutes
Oh, I
because
bet.
we were doing all these money things in the room. We introduced the money bowls. Summer did a demonstration, and then I told the story of, like, my mom and how some of the bowls were, like, 20 years old. I mean, people, like, I've never seen anything like this. I was like, "What a cool experiment that we threw together, like, last minute," and people loved it so much.
There's a whole section on how to make a money bowl in the Office chapter.
Yes! Okay, so good. Oh my gosh. My people are gonna love this so much. I can't wait. Like, they're putting together, like, little accountability groups to, like, read it together and all the things. So good. Okay, tell people again how they can find you. I know you're on TikTok and Instagram, right?
Yep. You can find me on any platform. It's at Modizzle with a 0 instead of an O and a 3 instead of an E. As you can tell, I did not know I would need to say that on podcasts when I created it 6 years ago. But yeah, if you search my name, you should find me literally anywhere. My website is just mollydonlan.com. I've got the 2 podcasts, Demystify Magic and The Science of Reiki. And the book is Mundane Magic, wherever you get books. It's also on ebook and audiobook if you
Ooh.
would rather listen with your ears. I know a lot of people do that. And the audiobook actually comes with a digital download PDF of the appendix. So if you're like, I want to listen with my ears, but I also want that cool appendix, guess what? You don't have to choose. You get both.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. I know I love a good audiobook, but I also really love to just turn pages.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
depends on my mood, depends on the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, yeah, or, like, what you're doing. Like, I love to listen to stuff while I do laundry.
Yep.
But I'm really excited. I'm gonna dig in because I got so many new crystals recently, and now I'm gonna put in some spells and some practice.
Fun.
But you're the best. I appreciate this so much, and I'm really excited to just help more people find out about mundane magic and to share you with my world. So thank you for being here. We'll put all the links in the show notes and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks for having
Yay.
me.
Yes, thank you. Yay. Thank you so much for being here and pushing play today. It really means the world to have you here, and this podcast wouldn't exist without you. If you're curious about your next step in business, don't forget to take our next step action quiz at elizabethhenson.co/next, and it will tell you exactly what is your next move. If you love this podcast, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, or leave us a review. It truly means the world to us and keeps us going. If you have a question or maybe a barrier in your business, we would love to invite you to submit your question, and we are even starting a new series where we will be coaching live on the air. So if you want to hear more about that or have your question answered or just maybe feel brave and vulnerable to share about your business here on the podcast and get some support live on air, go to elizabethhenson.co/ask, and we really hope to hear from you. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week.